Dubbo conquering Mega Eagle. Oh, most tremendous excitement today, folks. Hey, I've tidied up my shed. Yeah, I've sold a few bits and I bought a couple of bits, as you can see right here. So this is, I reckon, the cheapest way you can buy an entire setup and start welding aluminium. Yeah, I've never done any alley welding. This is going to be a first for me, and obviously this is all cheap gear, so I don't know how well it's going to go, but let me just explain what's going on here. Yeah? We've got a budget inverter welder, like there's about 60 quid on its own. A spool gun. So these are anywhere between, you know, you can buy them individually without any cables on them, and they're 30 quid. And I was looking at doing that. They haven't got covers on them or anything like that. They're really crude and nasty. These ones, this particular model, is about 100 quid with the cable on it. Yeah. And then this, which is a MIG converter. So this is basically a big contactor in here. Yeah, because with an arc welder, your electrode's live all the time, isn't it? So if you put it down and it touches the workpiece, it's going to arc off on it, isn't it? You don't really want that on a MIG because you'll, you know, if that means the wire's going to be live all the time, isn't it? If you've got excess wire poking out or whatever, you know, I don't know why actually. Either way, it's just a bit safer, isn't it? So there's that, and there's also a gas solenoid in there, so I can pump. I can put a bottle of argon on the back of this and have it come out the front, so that'll only switch on every time I pull the trigger. And it's got a wire feed control, and this controls the, you know, the wire that's actually in the back of the, the wire spool sits here, you know. So normal MIG welders, some people do manage to use them with alley, like they normally got to have a really short, what's your name, liner and that, because the alley doesn't like going around bends. It's not as springy. It's a bit more ductile than the steel, which always wants to, you know, like uncoil itself when it's on the spool, doesn't it? And the alley will just want to remain coiled, and so fights the liner every step of the way. So having a really short liner, you know, this has only got to go through, what, I suppose it's got to go for a foot of liner altogether before it gets to the tip and comes out of the tip, as opposed to, like, my current line is 6 foot long, my current torch lead, pipe, whatever you want to call it. 6 footer. It might be even longer actually. I think I've got an 8 footer. I've only just changed it and put a new one on there because the old one was getting a bit tatty. But so all in all this gear, this and that is 140 quid. Yeah. I've got no idea what's going to happen with this spool gun welding. Yeah, I'd never heard of it until, you know, a mate of mine. He was working at a factory making bodies for, or tipper bodies, like bulk tipper bodies for, you know, because we're up in Lincolnshire here and there's a lot of people that want to move big quantities of grain about and that, and you know, these bulk bodies are absolute whoppers, you know, like, so if they make them out of steel you lose a lot of payload, don't you? So they make them out of alley a lot of the time, alluminium, and the reason they use spool guns for that is, you know, you don't get a really pretty weld with, like you do with a TIG, which is obviously a very skilled job, but okay, but it's very, very quick. It makes a good enough weld, bit snotty perhaps. I'm sure there's some people that are great at it. Good enough weld, and it doesn't cost a fortune to operate, and the fact that you're going that much quicker means you need a lot less shielding gas. Shielding gas to do alley, you still have to use argon. Just because you're MIG doesn't mean you get away with using anything but argon, because you know, terrible things would happen to the weld if you use CO2. I don't know what would happen. Like, you know, obviously I've never tried welding alley, but be interesting to see, wouldn't it? Either way, I'll put this together, have my dinner. I might have my dinner first because I've just been shouted for it, and then we'll try and weld some aluminium and see what happens. That's very interesting. So I thought there was going to be a contactor in that little yellow box there to switch the MIG on and off. It only actually switches the wire on and off. I don't know if this is just a really shitty version, but you know, basically if I leave wire hanging out at the end of this, it's live all the time, so they're going to touch it on the workpiece, it zaps. I'm having a little bit of trouble, I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm sure we'll get there. I'll have a little play around and see what happens. I might switch the camera off now and come back when something good happens, alright? Bye. There's something not quite right with this setup, yeah? I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I'd like to think it's not just me, because, you know, apparently using one of these guns isn't that different to, you know, ordinary MIG welding, and I'm not a pro, but I can get by with it. But what's happening here is, you know, I'm either there's no middle ground with the power setting on this welder, so it's either you know, just shorting and dying, and not actually welding, not having enough power to arc, or there's so much power like here, it just vaporizes the entire tip. So anytime I do get metal to stick down there, it's like I'm basically creating alley copper bronze on my workpiece, and now it's so bad this time. Like that entire tip, MIG tip, like one of these. Fortunately, they're the same size as my regular MIG welder's tips. God. So I got a whole bag of these little tips, which is handy, because I've already burnt through 4 or 5 of them. But yeah, it's deposited the whole. There's a fair bit of metal there. Deposited the whole tip onto the workpiece there, just and it's kind of buggered itself up a little bit at the same time. So what? What I'm going to do is first off, I'm going to try using that arc welder as a stick welder, because, you know, I'll be able to field in if there's something majorly wrong with that welder. And I've also got I've got a little ESAB DC TIG welder as well, so I'm going to put that in the place of the arc welder, and hopefully that'll do a bit better. Yeah, it's just not right at the minute. Like the yeah, it's not right. Let's have a little play around and see what happens. Yep. And before anyone says anything, I mean, please clarify this in the comment if you've got any experience with this. But I'm using electrode positive, like reverse polarity electrode positive at the minute. Like normally you're positive ground when you're welding steel and that, like certainly with MIG and that, and with normal stick welding. But from what I understand, and please tell me if I'm wrong, I'm going electro positive now, innit? But I've now just hooked the arc welder up, so I'm going to try that in its normal polarity, just on a bit of steel, and see if that's any better. Okay, so this first one will be at the halfway sensible setting. I don't want to weld at all now. Yeah, that was at the nice steady setting, and I'm just gonna tweak that knob ever so slightly, yeah, just with the slightest of touches. Yeah. And now see what happens. Ferocious. Maybe not. Yeah. There's a definite step there, you know, which I think the spool gun isn't happy with. Right. Basically, this welder just seems to have two settings. Right, too weak for the spool gun or too powerful for the spool gun. So we're going to hook the ancient ESAB welder up that that my mate very kindly pikeyed from his work for me. Cheers, brother. Right. And then try and run the spool gun through that, yeah. It does, like, for a cheap machine, it does make a very tidy weld at its sensible setting, yeah. You know, it's a nice arc welder. It's certainly better than the I always buy the transformer ones, because like I can literally throw them in my truck and it does not matter what happens to them. They say don't get them wet, but you know like if you got to go and fix like weird stuff outside, then and you ain't got a choice about weather in England, like, you know, I would always have an old transformer welder just so I can do that. It doesn't matter if something terrible happens to me, you know, whilst I'm you know outside with that welder, because A, they're cheaper, and B, you know, they don't really mind rough service, whereas I don't suppose a cheap transistorized welder would last for the sort of shenanigans I get up to with it. But having said that, it strikes an arc far easier and makes a far nicer weld. Either way, it doesn't seem to work on the spool gun. Makes a nice stick weld. We'll get the ESAB hooked up. Well, I'm having limited success now. This is a massive improvement. Okay, I got the crusty old ESAB welder in the background there hooked up to it, and it does seem to be working now. Here we go. They're not pretty. They're not pretty. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just experimenting now. Just, you know, holding the torch in different ways. Angling the you know, what sort of angle I want to be at. You know, I'll get that figured out, and then try and actually join two bits of metal together rather than just burning holes in a flat plate. Okay. You notice how the weld starts off really proud, yeah, and then so right, we have insufficient penetration, then the weld actually starts looking quite nice, and then it gets a bit sloppy. Yeah, what a lot of people have said, and a lot of the videos that I've watched have said, is that you know, as the aluminium absorbs the heat, as the metal gets hotter, you start needing less current, but you know, obviously you can't change the current on the fly, so you just have to speed the torch up. It's always puzzled me because that's great, but then you've got less wire for the same amount of weld. No, I don't know, but I'll try it. I'll try and speed up. The second I start seeing it flatten off, I'll try and speed up. Right, yeah, this is one. This is definitely going to take some getting used to. Like that does seem to work a little bit. I've got a much more consistent weld there running right across the bottom of the plate from here to here. A little bit too slow to begin with. This is going to be a lot of feel, and obviously, unlike MIGging bits of steel, what's going to make a huge amount of difference here is the you know the thermal mass of whatever you're welding, isn't it? Right. This is, you know, it's not the thinnest sheet I find, but it's not the thickest either. One thing I really want to try with this, because the reason welding aluminium is such a big deal for me is I can cast it, yeah, and you know, I can't cast steel, but I can weld steel. So being able to cast and weld the same material would be quite awesome, yeah. So I'm just going to get first casting I can lay my hands on, and we'll have a go welding that. Okay, this is an old Honda CG125 engine that's thrown a rod. I'm going to try and squeeze it in the vise here, and then we'll find a cleanish bit of metal, clean it up a bit more, and try and strike an arc on it. Everyone I know that welds alley says to me, you know, there's always a complaint when I take bits of aeroplane to the fabricators to repair. They'll say, you know, anything that isn't brand new alley is an absolute bastard to work with. So I'm quite interested to see what's going to happen here, especially if I burn through. I think there's still oil lurking around in this thing, judging by the hole in the crankcase. Yeah. See, we might have a fireball, which is going to be fun. Yes, lads! Oh, this changes everything, doesn't it? Okay. I mean, there's probably considerably higher quality casting than the things that come out of my little foundry, but I need to find a thick bit, a nice thick bit. Let's try. Yeah, let's try that mounting lug. just made a mess, didn't it? Just made a mess. I didn't have that quite so clean. I didn't touch it with a grinder. So we'll just grind that. Again, something everyone else says, you know, alley's got to be very clean. Yeah, if I want to read the tea leaves, I'd say I've got to put a lot more power into that weld there. But that's okay. That's good. That's good. This is let's try something thin. I don't know. I've got an old door handle over there. It's quite nice. I'm not sure. No. Am I going to fuck it up? Oh. That was messy, pretty messy. Okay, so we managed to weld sheet to door handle. Question now is the final test. What'll have me sold on this is if I manage to make a nice weld door handle to Honda. Yeah, that's going to be the clincher with all this. Yeah, it definitely can't fall, can it? Good earth, you've got to have a good earth. Yeah, we're going to crank the power right up for this one. $120 amps. Well, it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. I'm not sure what I was expecting. Let's get you nice and close. Whoa. Okay. Let's have a quick debrief, yeah. Most importantly, this works in some areas, and with a bit of practice and some serious cleanup, I think this is going to work very nicely for me. What else we got to say? If anyone's looking to try this sort of thing, I'm lucky I had that ESAB welder, you know, that ancient. I mean, they're a good brand, you know, and that's an expensive welder. They don't make that one anymore. That's like, you know, 4 or 5 models ago. But the equivalent model now is like 800 quid, you know. So that's an 800 quid welder, 10 times as expensive as that piece of shit on the floor. Which I'm going to say pulls a lovely stick weld. You know, the quality of the weld that comes out of that thing with a stick is superb. Yeah, well, for me anyway. Right, see, my stick welding's awful. But what? It's not suitable for running the little MIG converter and the spool gun, which is how it was sold. It was sold as one little kit. That's why I ended up with that particular welder, because I was umming and ahhing how to do it. Did I buy I didn't want to buy a spool gun and put it on my nice MIG, because that would mean every time I wanted to switch between the materials, having to go through a load of hassle, and my MIG isn't set up for running a spool gun anyway, so I'd have to drill a load of holes in the front of it and bastardise it a bit, which again I don't want to do. Like that welder's been with me quite a while now, and it's it really works nicely and it's quite reliable, so the less messing around I can do with my big MIG, the better. Yep, so I was always going to end up running it off another welder, and I did think about trying it on my old arc, you know, and just using, because I got a load of old stick welders, like I say, transformer stick welders floating around, and just buying the torch on its own, the spool gun, without any leads, and making the controller myself. So it's quite easy to rig up a gas solenoid and that. That was a definite possibility. Although I'm glad I didn't waste my time doing it that way around now, because I think the transistor welder is going to be much more accurately, you know, dialed in than an old transformer welder. And if I was having problems on this cheap transistor welder, I never would have managed it on an old transformer welder, and I would have probably blamed my workmanship or my skill as opposed to the transformer, you know. So it works well with that little ESAB. Yeah, if you're looking at it, don't get the cheapest setup you can, because I don't think that's a very good idea. I'm sure there's guys out there that could have got it to work, but you know, that cheap transistorized stick welder is no good for running the spool gun. Yeah. I don't know, I can't give you advice. I can't say what the cheapest welder that will run it is going to be. I just don't know. Alright. Yeah. The handle on the Honda engine is actually stuck. I've only welded it one end. So let's give that a little brake test. Take the earth off. I'll turn my gas off. I'm running on argon now, and that stuff's pretty expensive as well. When I'm doing steel now, I've just switched to fire extinguishers. I can actually get fire extinguishers and, you know, weld my steel with fire extinguishers cheaper than I can buy CO2 in a returnable bottle now, because I used to get what are they, 13 kilo bottles, you know, that same size bottle but with CO2 in it, pub gas bottles, because they use them for pouring beer, and that used to be the cheapest way of getting CO2. But those bottles, the cost of those have gone up now, even though I've already got I own a couple of bottles, so I can get them I don't own the bottles. I paid the deposits on three different bottles now. 50 quid deposit each. Yet it's still cheaper to get fire extinguishers, and the beauty of the fire extinguishers is they get delivered straight to my door. If I want the gas, I've got to drive what King's Lynn's about 30 mile away. You know, that's like, it's a good couple of hours it takes me to go and get gas and get back, and 20 quid in fuel as well, isn't it? Which is why I've got 3 bottles, so I can get them all done at the same time. Last time I went, they only had 1 bottle of CO2, which is my fault for not calling, but yeah, it's just a real, getting to be a real pain in the arse now. So it's like, fire extinguishers are cheaper. I'm just gonna weld with them. Okay, the weld failed. The weld failed. I did put a lot of weight onto it first, but I'm gonna need some work at this, guys. I'm very excited about the new window of possibilities that's opened up. Pretty cool. Anyway, I hope if anyone's thinking about buying cheap welders and that, they'll find this video and find it helpful, and that, and everyone else that's seen it, like, share my excitement maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Like, take it easy, folks. Bye bye.